Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89, Wells, August 16, Madonna's birthday, so happy 61st birthday, Madonna. Um, I'm trying to work out what to do to celebrate. Now, when the last album came out, I got all excited and I decided I'm going to have a marathon, I'm going to watch all the videos and all the tours and everything, and then I realized I hadn't sorted out my videos and my DVDs and everything, and I had videos missing and ones I had multiple versions of. I didn't know which was the best, and I ended up spending a couple of days just sorting out that mess. And then by then I'd sort of watched everything indirectly and was over it and didn't end up doing anything. So I thought I'll just save it for the birthday, save it for a birthday. Um, so I'm kind of debating, do I do like a CD marathon, actually listen to all the studio albums or all their albums all together. I've sort of done that a couple of times, so I've just listened to them all in chronological order. There's books that I have bought, like that I haven't, like I've had this for years. A friend gave it to me and I still have never read it. And it's like 20 years old. And like newer bios and stuff which I've seen, which had a lot of pictures. I love this book. It's got like every other page has like a picture. So because I tend to buy a lot of the more glossy coffee table sort of picture books of Madonna, because the bios, a lot of them are written by trashy journalists who don't know her and never did. And she's famously said she would write her own biography. I'm like, well, bitch, do it in sections, because we can't wait until your career ends like in another 30 years, because she's just not ending. A lot of artists, they sort of have an era like where their career is hot and that's sort of what they're defined for, and they can do a movie about it or a book or something, and then it's done. But Madonna, her career has kept going, and up until recently it hasn't shown any signs of fading. Now recently she sort of has lost the support of the radios, and the ageism is sort of taking its toll a bit, and she's not being promoted as well and doesn't seem to have the money from the record companies and that to actually the payola to get her out there like a lot of the younger artists are still getting. I mean, her own company spent a lot more to promote Lady Gaga in the same, like, in competition basically. So I think she suffered a bit for that, and I sort of have just accepted that she's never going to be as big as she was. She's never going to have the hits um, in her career now that she had before, and it's really just appreciating her as an artist. Then I think a lot of fans sort of jumped on Madonna as someone to be a fan of because she was so popular, and they could sort of live sort of vicariously through that, and by being a Madonna fan, she's the best, I'm sort of the best. I know there's a weird sort of mentality, and so many fans I find are defending her based more on their own need for her to be successful because they invested something in that. I mean, commercially and being, the sort of, number one hits and all that sort of side of things, as opposed to creative, artistic, what she says, what she means. So I had a little bit of trouble with this last era. I liked some of the videos and some of the moves, but some I kind of didn't, and I sort of thought she misstepped, and some little things just don't make sense. Like, okay, Madam X, the eye patch. Why do none of the album covers have the eye patch? It's kind of like the signature of Madam X and the Madam X era, but yet it's like there's just little things that just didn't quite click, that didn't quite hit. Like the Rebel Heart album, that cover was just so iconic. Everyone saw it, memed it, you recognize it. You see that, it is. Whereas these ones sort of like the blonde one kind of looked like a photo session from Reinvention, and the brunette one kind of looked like she was stepping into Wallace's outfit when she was doing Wii or something. It just didn't kind of work for me, and I'm like, so little things like that, I feel like she's kind of not, she's off her game a little bit. She's not focusing because obviously she adopted two more kids, and she's got a lot more going on. She even managed to step back and basically step out of her whole life to go move to Portugal so her son could go to soccer. And I'm proud of her as a person for making those little sacrifices. But career-wise, I think it's kind of hurting her a bit because she's sort of let herself go a little bit and dropped the ball a little bit. Now she's sort of kind of making a comeback, which they always say she's making a comeback every time she releases an album, but she never went away. But I kind of feel like she did go away for a year or so. Like she kind of, for the first time probably since Like a Prayer was a bit of a comeback album because she took a year off, I think in '88, where she didn't do anything other than Speed the Plow on that. So like her career was kind of coming back, and then she just kept building on that momentum for a long time. And then people felt, because she sort of changed her career a bit leading up to Evita, that musically Ray of Light was a comeback, but she never stopped releasing albums and having hits. Like Something to Remember was like a year and a half before that, or a year before that. So it's kind of interesting following her career, being a fan all these years. I have never really had fans to share Madonna fandom with, friends that were fans. Most of the people I knew growing up hated Madonna, and they either thought she was a slut, or they just thought she was not the current thing. So it's like, oh, she's old. So that was always really weird. I was always defending her, and I didn't really get to have any fun being a Madonna fan, really. And then being in Australia, I was too young to see the girly show, and she skipped us for every other tour. And was like a continual slap in the face. Every few years I'd normally fall out of love with Madonna, because she'd be on tour and I would feel totally left out, and I wouldn't be able to sort of pay attention to it. And especially the last couple of years of YouTube and that, last couple of tours, I hadn't been able to watch other people's videos and enjoy them, because I just felt like I was missing out. I wasn't part of it, and like, why not? I'm a huge Madonna fan, and there's a lot of fans in Australia, and we are a big audience for her. Not okay. I think we should have counted more than we did. We gave her first hit with Holiday. It charted with us before anyone else, and we've always supported her. We've always sort of. So I think there was a growing resentment, or a lingering resentment, with Madonna for a long time because of this, and it really wasn't until she actually toured that kind of broke, and then people were sort of like, okay, you're actually validating us for the first time in a lot of people's lifetimes. And there was a lot of goodwill for Madonna, and there were a lot of Madonna themed parties and that, which are still continuing every year. Although this year some people felt they screwed up, because they did an album launch party in June instead of doing the birthday party. So a lot of people didn't go to that, because a lot of people aren't really into the new album, so they kind of skipped that, expecting there to be a birthday party, and then there wasn't. And they're like, what? Like, and they're asking me about it. I'm like, I don't know why they did this. Why are you asking me? I'm not like, I don't do. I'm a fan, but I'm not connected to any people who actually make any of the moves. So go call the club. I don't know. But yeah, I felt they should have at least said, okay, we're not doing the Madonna party this year. This is our big Madonna party this year, just so people at least knew, because I think some people would have probably gone. It did well. I think sold out. It was like busy, but I think a lot of people were expecting the annual Madonna birthday party, which we had, because we had a party for the tour, and then we had a party for her birthday, and then the next 2 years we've had a birthday party every year. So people expected another one this year, and thought they'd get the album party and the Madonna birthday party, and we only got one. So although I think there's one in Sydney, I've seen a lot of ads for ones all around the world, so maybe I'm confusing that with. I think they're doing a Madonna bar and some. Yeah, okay, I don't think there was one. We just had one party. Because Madam X, a lot of people aren't getting it, aren't feeling it, and about a third of the songs I really love. A third of the songs I'm okay with, a third they didn't really click with me, and I'm like, that's okay. I still love her. I still support her for the most part, but I'm not going to say I think it's great if it's not. And I discovered with fandom, you can't do that. If you don't love, you're a hater. If you do not love every single thing that person does and have nothing but glowing everything to say about it, you're a hater. And I got kicked off a few forums because I said, yeah, I don't really like that song. It's not really working for me. I think she's kind of, a bit off, or she's not sort of blah, blah, blah. And that was just criticism, analysis, conversation, but it's like, no, you're a hater, you have to go. I'm like, wow. I kind of knew Star Trek fandom was like that, but I thought the Madonna fandom was a bit different. And then people said to me, no, there's a real sort of pseudo-religious element to Madonna fans where they really worship her, and you have to too, or you are just like, it's just kind of more, it's bizarre, but I've experienced it with other fandoms, but I just wasn't sort of expecting it with Madonna, because when she did tour, I met so many fans, including a lot of the super fans who travel all around the world with her, following her and watching her shows. And I've befriended a couple of these people, and they're really nice. And I was kind of surprised to really experience Madonna fandom and talk to other Madonna fans, because I'd never really gotten to do that. Now, I'm not going to the next tour, partly because of money. I had some money saved up. I had enough to go. Like I was either going to do the opening shows or the ending shows. And the ending shows is hard to tell when the tour is really going to end, because sometimes you think they've set up the last couple of shows and then they add more on. So I was a bit worried about trying to do the last show because I had to plan in advance and that. So I was going to do the opening show, and then they had all this drama with the ticket system where it was like a lottery system, and you would enter, you'd sort of say this, you'd say, here's my credit card, this is what I want to go to and where I want to sit and the night, and then they would basically decide for you where you're going to sit, if you go, where you're going to sit, what night, and you sort of didn't really have any control. And with Rebel Heart, it took me 9 months to get my seats sorted. They changed, I upgraded, I moved, and then on the nights, I ended up not sitting where I was supposed to sit half the time, because people who sort of were in fan groups sort of were like, oh, come with us, come stand with us, and I was like, okay, and and then people sort of left towards the end of the night, or they'd just been standing up for a couple of hours, so they sat down, so there was space in places, and it was like, okay, I'm just gonna stand there, there's like a gap there, yay. So I ended up getting some really good seats. So it took me a long time to get the seats I got ticket-wise, and then on the night I ended up in a better position than I started off most of the times anyway. So, and I had a great time. I went to the Tears of the Clown show. I went to the 2 Sydney and 2 Melbourne shows. I didn't do Brisbane. I nearly did, but I hate Brisbane, and it was starting to cost a bit of money at that point, and I had only really planned to do Melbourne. But then I'm like, what? I couldn't, was like, how can I be in Australia and there's a Madonna concert and I'm not there, was sort of how I was feeling. So I did Sydney, and I nearly did Brisbane just for that, but then they changed the dates and that caused some problems, and I just ended up just sticking to Melbourne and Sydney. But I had such a great time. It was such a great experience, and being in the last show of her last real tour, because I don't count the theatre tour as a real tour, sorry. Her theatre tour, I'm going on a theatre tour. She's doing smaller shows. She's not going to be able to do what she did in the arenas and that, and because of the ticket pricing, there's only a small amount, they're all expensive. If I'm going to go pay all that money for one of those seats and pay for all the travelling and the hotels and all that, I want to know I'm going to have a great show. And if I'm sort of halfway up the back of a little theatre and spending all that money, it's just not worth it. It's not going to, unless I can match the experience I had with Rebel Heart, I don't see any sense in having a lesser experience. And that's my last sort of Madonna experiences, that I sort of, got in some unimportant show, not the first or last, just sort of a random one, and end up the back or something, and there weren't people there I knew, because I was surrounded by people I knew like every time. So it was just this great fan communal sort of experience, and I had these really great positions and seats and everything, and this one I kind of felt like I couldn't get the dates I wanted, I couldn't get where I wanted, I couldn't get into the area I wanted, I couldn't get it's like, I don't want to do like a half-assed version, so I'm just going to bow out and just remember how great the last real show, because she's done 10 world tours. I kind of count the Virgin show as a world tour, because she did go to Canada. It's not America, but if she'd gone to the UK, it'd be easier to call it a world tour, because, but technically it wasn't just America. So she did, I feel like Rebel Heart was her last one, was her last real arena tour. I don't think she's going to do that again. People are saying, oh, after she's doing this for artistic reasons, after this, she's going to do another big arena tour. I'm like, I don't think so. Not only that she doesn't really want that pressure, I think, also the promoters just don't have confidence in her that she can fill them, even though she filled them on the last tour. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the theatre tour was the best choice commercially, because she can fill it up with super fans that'll pay a fortune, that'll make money, and it's a lot easier to plan, coordinate. Every town has a bunch of theatres. She can go wherever she wants. She can stay as many nights as she wants. It's not like she's competing with sports events and all that sort of stuff. So I can see that being the way she goes. And eventually, I'd like her to do a residency or something, because I do think there's creative strengths to doing something like that. But she doesn't sort of like to stay in one place and do the same thing, so that would be kind of difficult. But she could do a short residency. She could do those around the world sort of thing, or for each album, I don't know. She's not going away. She's going to be around for a while. We're going to enjoy her for a while. And for this birthday, I'm just going to try and watch all the music videos, and then I'm going to try and do a concert marathon. But because there's 10 of them, that's like 22 hours. It's like a whole day. I would like to sleep, so I have to split that over a couple of days. And I've also got all the, I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of documentaries and specials and news articles and things and fan videos that I've gotten from over the years that I never had the time to really watch. And what I like to do is have themed days, weeks, whatever, months where I just focus on one thing. So all the stuff I've collected over the years I can just watch and appreciate as a whole. Like with Marilyn Monroe, normally the anniversary of her death, August 5th I do that. And it's just sort of going over my favourite stuff or looking over the stuff I've collected in the last year. And same thing with Madonna for her birthday, August 16th, so it's normally Marilyn and then Madonna each year. So I'm trying to sort of be a bit traditional with my celebrating my fandoms, and like Star Trek then is September, so I normally do a fairly large Star Trek marathon from September 6th, because that's the anniversary of the original, and then yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I don't know what other people do. I'm curious. I've been watching a lot of, seeing a lot of Facebook posts and that, seeing what people are doing, and it's interesting seeing how other fandoms celebrate Madonna and seeing their collections and what they buy and all that. Because I don't have a lot of stuff. I focus more on her music and her albums, and I didn't collect a lot of stuff. And I threw a bit out a few years ago anyway. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I just hope everyone has a happy Madonna birthday and they all do something to celebrate it and enjoy it, and it's not just like another day. So thanks. See ya. Bye.